The line now, I have John Lyons from People Before Profit. Good morning, John.
Morning, John. How are you?
I'm good, and thanks for taking the call.
No problem.
Normally, if we talk to People Before Profit or Identity Steady Lines, we're talking about water charges or the such like, but we're going to talk about something completely different this morning, and it's of interest to everybody, and this is the cost of car insurance, John.
Yes, indeed. Yeah,
it keeps on.
I think a bit like water charges as well, John, and housing, which are probably two of the main things that I'm engaged with as a Dublin City Councillor. I think this is an issue that affects a lot of people, just with the premiums over the last year or so, going up in some cases by 50% and in many cases by a full 100%. So something has to be done about this, and that's why People Before Profit made a decision just before Christmas that into the new year, throughout the country with our 47 branches, we would organise a series of public meetings just to discuss the issues with members of the public who are affected by it, and to see if we can get some kind of political momentum going behind the demands that I like. One of our main demands is that we create a not-for-profit Irish public car insurance company, which would provide decent basic third-party cover for all drivers, because I think at the moment what we have is a situation where people are faced with childcare costs, mortgage, high rents, public transport fares have gone up in nearly every aspect. Well, actually, I'd say in every aspect of many people's lives, things are going. The cost of everything is going up. But I just think the premiums, it's tipping a lot of people over the edge.
Yeah, and it's not just car insurance, as you say. I know house insurance. My house insurance went up €160 this year.
Oh, well, okay.
It's madness. Is there no control or no legislation to control these insurance companies hiking their prices all the time?
Well, this is the issue. Like the Oireachtas there now, our national parliament set up a committee to investigate the insurance industry to see what was going on, because what we were hearing from the various private insurance companies, and I think we have 12 in the market, which is supposedly meant to lead to more competitive prices. But what we were hearing was that there was a huge spike in claims and the cost of claims. But when you actually looked at it, the cost of collisions has dropped by some 44% between 2007 and 2012. And when you actually dig a little deeper, a lot of the insurance companies were actually fighting tooth and nail to grab market share, and they were also speculating on the international bonds and stocks market, and many of them lost. And so what we believe in People for Profit is a lot of the reasoning behind many of the insurance companies looking to stack up their premiums on people is they want to restore profitability, and they're using other excuses, but it's really price gouging is what they're doing, and it's not related. And we can see the Garda figures for it, and the Garda figures show that there's been a drop in accidents over recent years, despite what the insurance companies claim. So we think it is again a case of supposedly competitive private companies, who were meant to compete against one another. They were competing against one another for market share, which meant that they were aggressively pricing their policies, but then they were also at the same time speculating, and many of them lost. And so, as I say, they're trying to recoup those losses through increasing their premiums on people. And some of the stories that you're reading, where, as I said, some people were paying, I know myself, a fair few people were paying, what would you say, maybe 300-400, and into the 2017 they're now paying 700-800 euro for car insurance. And I just look, something has to be done. And that Oireachtas committee did some good work investigating a lot of the issues, but unfortunately, John, the recommendations were, well, we hope that the industry will listen to us. Now, that's pretty toothless, and I think we have an onus as parliamentarians, as politicians, as local representatives to do more than that. And I think that's why the series of meetings that we're holding across the country could be the first step towards building the pressure to actually force the politicians to do something more serious to address this issue.
Yeah, it's the same old. There's investigations and there's, then there's no action taken.
Well, no, and look, it's good in one way because we get a lot of information. We get a clearer picture of what's going on. But yeah, like when their conclusions or their recommendations amount to nothing but a hill of beans, that's not, that's not going to impact upon the lives of anyone out there who are supposedly meant to be served by our national politicians. So again, it's something that we think is really hitting materially, affecting households. As I said at the start, just look, when you're paying a lot of people's wages have stagnated over recent years. And the cost of living, when you look at it right across the board with prescription charges, I could name them off over the last number of years since 2008, the imposition of indirect charges and taxes, with stagnating pay and rents going through the roof. So I just think at this level where supposedly the private market is meant to be the be all and end all of everything, I actually think we need to intervene. And say this just isn't leading to supposedly competitive prices being offered to customers. So I think there's an onus on the members of Dáil Éireann to do something more than just compiling data and painting a picture, which is pretty terrible. They need to actually legislate. And so what we hope is that the demand for a not-for-profit public car insurance company is something that we can put out there, discuss in our local meetings, and hopefully over the coming time is something that we might see gain a bit more political traction. That's what we're hoping for, John.
Now, as you rightly said, people are getting fed up. It's not just that they're fed up of rising costs. It's that people can't afford them. They're as you said, their money's gone. Now,
there's people like I know many people who are actually now they're in full-time jobs. In some instances, there's two incomes into the house, and they're actually considering taking their car off the road because they can't actually afford to keep it on the road. And that's in some households that's a household with one car. In other cases, the idea of having two cars into one house, that's I think that's diminishing more and more because literally people at the end of the month, when they look at all of their outgoings and what they're receiving in income, it's just not sustainable for a lot of people. And if we had a good public transport system that was efficient, reliable, obviously all of that would only be achieved if we had proper subvention from national government, which we don't. We've one of the lowest in Europe. But if we did have a proper public transport system that was funded adequately, that it was integrated, that people could rely upon to get their kids to school or to get themselves to work or to a job interview or whatever, a hospital appointment, that would be one avenue that we could explore. Obviously, there's an onus on us to do this because of the threat of climate change. So it's all interrelated. It's in relation to just the imposition of more charges, of private companies gouging more and more out of households, the fact that we don't tax wealth enough in this country, John, so that we don't have or we don't prioritise the funding of public transport and other issues like our water infrastructure. It's, at every hand's turn there are issues which point to the fact that I think we're being badly governed in this country and have been for a number of years.
Now, you did mention, we're just running out of time, but I do want to mention this. You mentioned a public insurance company, a non-for-profit. So people might say, oh my God, that's a bit pie in the sky. But this is actually based on, in Canada, the province of Manitoba.
That's right, we use in some of our literature, and just to get the information out there, that this is, like, as you say, if it was just an abstraction, just something that you were throwing out there, people might go, God, what's all that about? But there are examples. We use Manitoba in the province in Canada, but also in Australia. I know some friends who lived over there. There was also the fact that when you bought a car, it was automatically insured, and I think they funded it through. There was a slight levy on the fuel that you paid to run your car. So there are various ways of ensuring that each and every driver on the road is insured. That doesn't lead to them being absolutely gouged for hundreds of euro each and every year. So we've taken the example of the Canadian province of Manitoba, who have had for many years, I think since 1971, a public not-for-profit car insurance company that offers cheap third-party insurance. And we say that if you want, after that, to go for the more comprehensive cover, well, the options are there for you with the private companies, but that at the basic third-party cover, it should be the state could easily set up a not-for-profit and do that and ensure that everyone has the basic cover. And it's not that complicated. It's achievable, it's doable, and I think it's badly needed for many people.
We also want to mention these rising car insurance costs. It could also lead to people driving without insurance, which could turn nasty.
Well, that's a frightening thing. Look, as I say, people are looking at their household income on a weekly, sometimes daily, but monthly basis, and looking at where they can save, and to take a risk and not to be insured when you're taking your car out is a huge risk, and nobody should even be contemplating it. But it has led to a number of recent cases in the courts where people are getting serious fines and been taken off the road for not having car insurance, and rightly so, because it's a situation that you can't condone or tolerate. But you can understand why some people are taking that risk. Who need, I'm assuming, who need to get about their daily business of getting to work or looking for work or getting to an appointment, and they need their car. If they don't have public transport, or there's no reliable public transport in their area, they're taking that chance. And I just think that again proves that there is an onus on our legislators to really seriously investigate and to establish a not-for-profit car insurance that can ensure that everyone who needs to run a car, who needs to use the car to get about their business, can do so in a safe, fully insured manner.
Right, now you mentioned meetings. There's going to be meetings all over the country as regards to this. Now, there's one happening down the road from us here.
Yes, next week. We're waiting for confirmation, but it's next Tuesday, which is the 7th of February. We're now into February, of course, in Parnell's. We're hoping the venue is Parnell's. We're just waiting on confirmation today, and a few posters will go up, and we'll be advertising it on our People for Profit Dublin Bay North page on Facebook, and my councillor page, the Councillor John Lyons page on Facebook, and on Twitter over the next few days. But there'll be a few posters and a few more leaflets to be distributed over the next few days in the area.
And will it be yourself that's hosting this, John?
Yes, I'll speak on it, and we're hoping, because we know we've gotten a good response at Northside Shopping Centre there the last couple of weeks, particularly the taxi men at the rank, but also generally people are, they kind of raise their eyes to heaven when you mention, God, the premiums, don't talk to me about it. So, as I said at the start, there's a lot of people, we believe, interested in the idea of a not-for-profit car insurance company that could cheaply provide them with some cover. So we're hoping we'll get a bit of a turnout on the day. I'll introduce it, and hopefully we'll have a good discussion. And as I say, it's a part of a series of meetings that People for Profit is hosting across the country, which we hope will lead in time over the next few months to building up the political pressure and making this demand a popular one that hopefully can lead in time, sooner rather than later, we hope, John, to the establishment of this not-for-profit car insurance company. Yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, and as we said, that's not just an idea. It's already been proved to work in Canada.
Yeah, and elsewhere, Australia too. Yeah, no, it can be done. There's different ways of ensuring that every person who drives a car on the road is insured. That doesn't, absolutely cripple them financially. So I think our dependence upon private companies to provide that kind of a service, which is, I think again you should look at it as a public service to ensure that everyone is safely insured on the road, is something that the private market just isn't offering people. It's actually pushing people off the road, and it's pushing some people into taking unbelievable risks in taking their car out without insurance. So we think it's something it's a serious issue. It's having a hugely adverse impact on people's pockets and purses, and it's something that we think our legislators need to move quickly on. So we'll see. We'll put on the meetings, we'll have the discussions, and we'll see if we can push on from there.
Right, John, thanks very much for that, and it's a very important issue, and it's also very important that people like yourself get up and make these things known instead of let them be swept under the carpet. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, very much for taking the call, John. And
no problem.